A perfect example of a hot crowd making a great show that much more amazing. I'm Charmelle with the retro review of WWE WrestleMania 22, taking place at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. 17,000 plus going insane, booing who they wanted to boo, cheering who they wanted to cheer. If you were a face or you were a heel and they did or didn't like you, they were going to let their voices be heard. A defiant crowd, energetic, goddamn awesome. This was an absolutely amazing crowd. Maybe top 5 or top 3. And I would say one of the top 5 WrestleManias of all time. Even with the dips, this was an absolutely amazing show from top to bottom. And yes, I'm going to have a few criticisms for it, but still, some 15 years later, it still holds up as one of my favorite WrestleManias because the crowd energy really did add to this show. If you would say cut the crowd energy in half, it still would be a good WrestleMania because of, the small enclosure and the great atmosphere. But boy, just the energy turned up to, not even 11, turned up to 15. It was great. Anyway, the dark match, by the way, Viscera won a Battle Royal. And then Michelle Williams, no, not the one from Brokeback Mountain or Dawson's Creek, but the one from Destiny's Child singing America the Beautiful. Good rendition. And then we cut the Shinedown's I Dare You and a video package. And then Big Time by Peter Gabriel. A really good 1-2 punch of music. I really like these themes for WrestleMania. And we start off with Kane and Big Show defending the tag team championships against Carlito and Chris Masters. The commentary teams were JR and Lawler for Raw, and Cole and Taz for SmackDown. Joey Styles would join for the hardcore match a little bit later. This was fine. Nobody believed that Carlito and Chris Masters were going to win, though the only way you could justify this match happening was to switch the tag titles. They didn't do that. Masters accidentally hit Carlito, and then chokeslam from Kane, 1, 2, 3, and then Carlito and Masters argue, and then we would get a turn, and then we would get these guys feuding because they were kind of, having friction before, and then they would be allies, and then they would split, and this was a feud that I don't think anybody really cared for, though people really did like Carlito, and then Masters, well, they would end up making fun of the fact that he violated the wellness policy and lost a whole lot of weight. It's not like he was the only one, Triple H, anybody, but yeah, it was at least an energetic opener, but not necessarily that great. You could have put this on Raw and it would have been a miss, but at least all these guys got a WrestleMania payoff. And then Coach is doing backstage interviews, and Sean talks about history and says, well, don't expect 5-star Sean tonight. You're going to get me being a lot more violent and a lot darker. RVD versus Lashley versus Finley versus Matt Hardy versus Flair versus Shelton Benjamin. Money in the Bank match. And everyone on commentary, every single person, they got the goddamn cameraman on commentary. They got a lot of people on commentary for this because it was interpromotional. Now, this was an absolute clusterfuck, as you would expect a Money in the Bank ladder match to be. I do miss when the Money in the Bank ladder match was part of WrestleMania. It felt more special. I honestly think they should go back to that, drop the Money in the Bank pay-per-view concept, or and maybe have maybe alternate between having a men's Money in the Bank and a women's Money in the Bank, like at Mania or something. Just do something to freshen it up. But this was the second annual Money in the Bank, and Lashley's an immortal, by the way, because he looks the same here, and this was some 15 years ago, and he looks amazing now, and he's in his mid-40s. He's either an immortal or just a goddamn genetic freak. Shelton did get a chance to show off Superplex, and Flair was hurt, and then he was taken to the back for a bit. He comes out a little bit later, and gets hit with Finley shillelagh, just whipping it out right into Flair's face, and Flair goes down. We get massive bumps off the ladder, side effect of Finley, ECW chance for RVD as you would expect because, there's still a huge support of, ECW and, RVD, ECW original. I mean, let's be honest, RVD is synonymous with ECW. And Shelton and Matt Spillett and RVD wins. And RVD would go on to successfully cash in the Money in the Bank at, ECW One Night Stand. He would be the ECW and the WWE champion. Everything would work out. Of course, I'm fucking kidding. He would screw that goddamn shit up, and it was proof that you shouldn't have made him your fucking champion. I get it. You can get down however you want, but it was a mistake to make him champion. Now, the crowd reaction was great. I may retro-review ECW One Night Stand 2006 because it was a really good event. It wasn't quite as good as 05, but it was still a pretty damn good event. It was a mistake making him the champion, though, because it didn't work out. Crowd reaction here, though, pretty damn good. And then we get Josh Matthews saying an absolute 5-star performance from, RVD. Oh, Josh, I fucking hate you. He interviews Mean Gene. Mean Gene, by the way, now would do better interviews than Josh Matthews. Mean Gene's been, unfortunately, not with us for a while. What I'm trying to say is Mean Gene just could be shouting from the heavens and doing way better than Josh Matthews could ever do on his best day. I don't like Josh Matthews. But anyway, here's Orton. And he, is a legend killer. He's getting in Mean Gene's face. And then Batista shows up. Batista is injured, but he is going to be coming back. Whoever, is holding the championship when I come back, they're just keeping it warm. And I'm going to be World Heavyweight Champion by next WrestleMania. Turns out he was right, because then he would lose to Undertaker in a match that was severely underrated and underappreciated and should have been way higher on the card. But boy, did they have a great time stealing the goddamn show. And then we get the Hall of Fame class without Bret because he was uncomfortable participating tonight. This would still, it would still be a few years before Bret would appear on WWE programming again. It was nice they did the Bret Hart DVD. And then, he got to have the Hall of Fame speech. I will say that Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time. Many of you may know that. If you're a new subscriber, you may not know that. But I understood why Bret felt the way he did. And we did get to see the rest of the inductees. Mean Gene, Sensational Sherry. I'm glad Sherry got inducted just a year before she passed away, or just over a year before she passed away. Tony Atlas, Vern Gagne. And it was good to see Vern Gagne get, a big reaction in Chicago, mainstay city of the AWA. So it was nice to see him get that reaction. William the Refrigerator Perry, former Chicago Bear, participated in WrestleMania 2, which I will retro review at some point. The Blackjacks. Maria looking all excited to have the Blackjacks there. And, I do miss Maria actually being allowed to have a personality and not just be somebody nice to look at. She could be both. She still is both. She's fucking killing it along with Mike Bennett. Anyway, Eddie accepted by Vicky before we all knew that she wanted to build the wall. But huge Eddie chance. It was cool. It was really cool. And Chavo was there too. At least they got him away from being Kerwin White. So then we get JBL versus Benoit. This has been an emotional week for Chris Benoit. Not as emotional as the week that he would have in late June 2007. Chris Benoit's a murderer, and I'm going to keep pointing that out because he should never go in the Hall of Fame. I don't care how good his fucking career was. His career was great, but anyway, it wasn't good. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It's like Benoit was technical, JBL clubbed. The damn diving headbutt, I really hate the fact that that was popularized. Harley Race, I believe, popularized it and wished he hadn't. And then you had Dynamite and Benoit do it and Daniel Bryan. And I really wish they'd stop doing the diving headbutt. Anybody, just stop doing it. You can, granted, wrestling is a contact line of, it's basically contact sports. That's basically what it is. I mean, you can call it sports entertainment, but it is a contact line of work. You need to cut that down. But anyway, Crossface got countered into a roll-up, 1, 2, 3, and JBL's a new U.S. champion. They would drop it to Lashley, who would then have elevated liver enzymes. Wonder how that happened. And then the U.S. title would get tossed around. Edge versus Mick Foley, hardcore match. Joey Styles joined commentary, basically to go, oh my god, and do all the stuff that, the insane man does. Now, I will say that Joey Styles fit calling this kind of action. Joey Styles was perfect for ECW. When they let Joey be Joey, he was good. He was good in WWE, but they just didn't let him be Joey that much. Now, I will say this may have been the show-stealing match of the show. It was really, really goddamn good. Wild, bloody. Lita was also in Edge's corner, and boy, there were a lot of ho chants for her, because this crowd was not going to let her forget that Edge and her screwed Matt. It was very uncomfortable for everybody. V1! Anyway, this was a hell of a goddamn match. It really was. We got, barbed wire introduced. We got cookie sheets, the crowd chain, ho with Lita, as I said. The cookie sheet, the shots of the head, though, I'm glad they don't do headshots in WWE. They need to outlaw that shit. Yes, again, contact line of work, but I've seen them at indie shows. I've seen them in New Japan. I really wish they'd stop doing the headshots. You can't really do that stuff safely unless you get your hand up, and even then, I don't know, it's the implication. But barbed wire wrapped around Foley's stomach, and then we get wire shots where it's sticking to Edge. It was brutal, barbed wire. He's got the barbed wire bat out, but then Lita jumps on him. He does the cactus elbow, and Lita just stumbles and tumbles right on out. And then we get the table out. We get a stage bump by Foley, and we get lighter fluid on Foley, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to light a son of a bitch on fire. It would only take them about 14 and a half years after this to actually light somebody on fire. It was a dummy, and it was dumb. It was a dumb, dummy, dumb. That's what it was. That's what I'm going to go with. That's the very mature way of looking at it. Anyway, we get bad shots. We get the tacks, Edge into the tacks, and then flaming table spear. Holy shit, Edge wins. Edge looks absolutely like shocked. What the hell's going on? Foley got a standing ovation, a standing ovation, if you will. Man, these puns are really not fucking working at all. This was a great goddamn match. It really was. Booker and Charmelle are talking about freaks, and they run into Pirate Paul. Remember Paul Burchill when, Vince McMahon was made aware of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie that came out in 2003? About 3 years before they made Paul Burchill the pirate. Actually, I think it was more like about 2.5, but I digress. Snitsky was sniffing the feet of Moolah and May. Because why not? Eugene was there, Ted DiBiase, and Goldust is telling Booker what he has to do with the worms, where he has to put the worms, and we get Booker and Charmelle versus the Boogeyman. Look, I got nothing against Charmelle. I like Booker. I like Boogeyman. This was unnecessary. It was ridiculous, and I wonder how much, how many extra canvases they had to put out after this. Because worms were all over. Boogeyman kisses Charmelle with worms in his mouth and double choke for the win. And Boogeyman, I believe, also had an arm injury and had to take time off, but they kept his undefeated streak going. They would make Booker world champion a little bit after this, and I still don't understand why they did this. It was just a very, very bizarre way. It was good to get a payoff. I just don't understand why they did it. So Trish versus Mickey, women's title match, and do you love me now? Do you love me now? Edge and Foley and this may have stolen the show because the crowd, it's not that they didn't like Trish, but they liked Mickey. It's hard not to like Mickey. It's hard not to like both these women because these two women killed it in this match. It was great stuff. The only thing I think that would have made it better is if it had maybe a bit of a street fight element and had, some hard hits. But that being said, it was still really fucking good. Really, really good. Of course, JR was really on fire at this point on commentary. He said to Lawler about when he made a comment about Mickey. He said, "You date her. Actually, she might be a little old for you. She's in her early 20s. JR was particularly saucy on this night. The crowd made this work. It made it work better than a pedestrian crowd would have. Not to say that the women did not work hard. They put a lot of time into this feud. One of my favorite feuds in WWE history as far as the women go. This was really good shit, but the crowd made it work. They were just booing the shit out of her. They were let's go Mickey. They were booing Trish. And even though they respected Trish, they wanted Mickey to get the win. It's funny that Vince McMahon got upset when Mickey grabbed Trish's stratosphere, if you will, and then, did the whole V symbol. V1, did that. And he got upset by that. Yet in the match that he was involved in, he had his own son kiss his ass. Vince McMahon's priorities are all out of whack, I will say that much. They did do a botch Stratusfaction. It was a little bit, they had to edit some of this stuff because botches do happen. And it was on the grandest stage. I remember seeing this live on pay-per-view. And I was like, ooh, but the crowd still made it work. High kick, 1, 2, 3. And, the Psycho won the title. It was really good stuff, even with the botches, even with the fact that Vince McMahon got upset with Trish's stratosphere being grabbed and Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Vicky. Anyway, no, Vince then with a tan that George Hamilton would have said, lad, that's a bit much. I don't believe George Hamilton is British, but I'm going to roll with it. He's with his family. God, I don't like you and you don't like me. And says, oh, amen, hallelujah. I believe Stephanie was pregnant at the time and it was a bit weird. Shane McMahon looking weird. And it was nice because Linda was able to keep one eye on Vince and one eye on Shane without, having to look in two different directions. Because she always looks in two different directions because Linda McMahon's a goddamn idiot. So anyway, Mark Henry versus The Undertaker in a casket match. And all I can say is, well, it happened. Taker did a dive and he tombstone Mark Henry and it was not good. And this is nothing against Mark Henry. Remember when they called him the Silverback? Remember when they called him that? Because that wasn't racist at all. That was pretty goddamn bad. Anyway, Taker won in a match that was pretty throwaway. If it wasn't for continuing Undertaker's streak, you almost could have had this on SmackDown. And then Shawn does his entrance for the No Holds Barred match, and the streamers are all, caught up in the rafters, so they had to, get crews out there and, get people on jetpacks and float up and do this and, get all the stuff down. I don't know how they got that stuff down, actually, but pretty damn impressive. Vince had the Muscle and Fitness cover, on a poster at ringside, and it's No Holds Barred. JR's commentary, if it wasn't for JR's commentary, this match would have only been half as good as it was. If it wasn't for the crowd being invested, this match would have sucked. Vince McMahon has never been good in the ring, but he bumps like crazy. He bumps like mad. His dad would have been absolutely livid if he had seen him in the ring, based on the fact that his dad apparently never wanted to see him wrestle. But holy shit, Shawn made it work. Vince Vince gets, knocked into JR, and the headset gets knocked off, and JR's headset gets on just in time, or they get his headset back on just in time. Shawn has the poster. He writes, or he says, yeah, hit him in the head with it, and then shove it up his ass. How would that be? It's like, easy, JR. JR's commentary was so good, so damn good. Spirit Squad shows up. They got the megaphone and everything. Kenny misses the leg drop off the ropes. And it's funny that Dolph Ziggler somehow survived this gimmick, and I will not understand it. He says, and they got the megaphone, and Shawn's hitting them, and there's this powder coming out of the megaphone. With everybody on cocaine, given the energy of some of them, I might not be surprised. He's like, yeah, bring your megaphone again, you idiot. Give Michaels a weapon. Vince then attacks him while Shawn's distracted because he threw Kenny out on everybody. Mitch never wrestled because he had a severe back injury, yet he would take bumps occasionally. Bit weird that. But Vince then uses his belt, and then Shawn uses it and hits Vince. Either, I don't know if he hit him in the head or hit him like right on the brow of the shoulder, but it was so loud it sounded like a rifle shot. It was so goddamn loud. And it wasn't the loudest hit that would happen in this match. Shane attacked Shawn. Shane basically took his stick and, got Shawn from behind. Now, let me tell you right now, whenever you get a man's stick from behind, you are going to go down, whether you want to or not. And don't ask me anything more. But he's got handcuffs. Oh, no, but he's going to make Shawn kiss Vince's ass, and you're a 60-year-old man showing your ass on worldwide television. And then Shawn knocks down Shane and makes his son kiss his dad's ass because wrestling. Vince McMahon is a very weird guy. He wants, I believe, wanted to do an incest angle where it was either going to be Vince or Shane that were going to be the father of Stephanie's kid in 2003. Again, Vince McMahon is weird. Very, very weird and disturbed. And really tan here. Why was he so goddamn tan? Why was Triple H so tan? What was with was the bronzer budget just like, half the goddamn Mania budget? Was the rest of it going to Pyro? Anyway, Shane got cuffed and caned, and we had a massive chair shot to Vince. It hurt me. That sounded so loud. So loud. I'm so glad they don't do headshots anymore. McMahon's on... This is a line JR said. McMahon's on Queer Street. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's an old line. Probably shouldn't have been said. I still laughed because it was funny. And then we get a ladder and a can on Vince. He's on the table. And then Shawn's like, I'm going to get a bigger ladder. So he gets a bigger ladder. And then he does a DX chop and he hits a diving elbow. Gets the doctors out of the ring. I'm going to knock your teeth down your throat. Super kick. 1, 2, 3. And it was great. And JR's commentary made it great because even then he was like, okay, beat the son of a bitch. Get it over with. It was great stuff. And then Vince got stretchered out and was flipping off the crowd and flipping off the camera and everything. And it was great stuff. And then Ray got a lavish entrance. And Randy got golden showers in Chicago. And it's Ray versus Orton versus Angle. It's a 3-way world title match. It was 10 minutes. Actually, it was just a little bit under 10 minutes. I won't say it was dull. It was very fast-paced. The problem was they had to make it fast-paced because they didn't go from this to the WWE Championship match. Oh, no. Au contraire, they did something else that had no business being on pay-per-view, and I will explain why in a bit. The crowd booed the shit out of Ray, and it was a defiant crowd, but also the crowd was getting sick of this. And it's nothing against Ray. Ray did everything he could. He was working well. He had done great in the Royal Rumble, lasting longer than just about anybody. Actually lasting longer than anybody because people will say, oh, Daniel Bryan, the greatest Royal Rumble. The greatest Royal Rumble doesn't count because the Saudi Arabia shows don't count when it comes to WWE lore. You can like them. I don't count them. But anyway, Ray ends up pinning Orton. The crowd kind of boos and kind of cheers, and his title reign was never all that great. And then we get a shot of his kids in the crowd, and it's a great thing that his kids decided to stay out of wrestling. I kid. Dominic even had a catcher's mitt-sized face at that point. No, I have no idea why I have something against Dominic even now, but at least Eddie's, or at least Dominic's real father was looking down from heaven. Yes, I mean Eddie. Of course I do. So we get shots of Cena and Triple H getting ready. We have Candice versus Tori, Playboy evening gown pillow fight match. They cut the world title match in half to set this up and have these women have a 4-minute match. I got nothing against Candice, nothing against Tori. as far as in the ring. As people, well, they're anti-maskers and they can piss off. But that was before I knew this. It was unnecessary. You could put this on the pre-show. I mean, I'm not against these women getting the Mania payoff. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have wanted to do something else. This was in the death slot right before the main event. It was a real bad idea. The crowd hated it. Dreaded roll up 1, 2, 3. And it was bad. It was really goddamn bad. They could have cut this. They could have given more time to the world title match. Or had, maybe a multi-women match and done something else other than this. I'm not saying that these women didn't look good and that there wouldn't have been a reason, but the internet exists for a fucking reason, right? There's porn on the internet where you can actually see more stuff happen. Just saying, this didn't belong on a wrestling pay-per-view. Especially the show of shows. So Triple H got the King of Kings entrance, and then time to play the game, and he was, stuck on his throne. Man, they caught him when he was trying to go, and then he was self-conscious because everybody was watching. Cena gets a gangster entrance, and a certain chick magnet Punk was right there. Yes, CM Punk was right there as one of the gangsters, and it would show up a little bit later on the ECW brand that WWE basically torpedoed from the word go. The Zombie, Nacho Libre, I rest my case. Cena versus Triple H, WWE title match. So many boos for Cena. So many boos. My God. The amount of boos for Cena was insane. The match was great, though. It was fucking amazing. Well-paced, well-wrestled. We get a ref bump later. I'm not going to go through all the moves, but it was a very well-done match. This is when Cena had to still prove himself. And Cena did well here, and Triple H gave him a lot. And Triple H did what he should have done for Booker T. He put over Cena here, but he couldn't put over Booker T in 2003. Yeah, I'm still mad about that. Sledgehammer shot. The ref takes too long, just 2, and eventually STFU. And it looks like Triple H is going to get to the ropes. He taps out. The crowd is absolutely shocked. My God, the crowd is shocked. I was shocked. I was 25 years old when this happened. I'm like, holy shit, Triple H tapped out. John Cena won 2 Manias in a row, would later win 3 Manias in a row, and then would lose at WrestleMania 24, which shocked me. Still, one of my favorite WrestleMania events of all time. Yeah, there were some issues, but overall, way more positives than negatives. Really good shit, and a great goddamn crowd. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Redlund. I'll see you soon.